I threw myself in there. Postcards from the bottom. I'm actually like practically on top of the library right now. Like it's almost obscene how close I am to the library, if you know what I mean. I mean, it's not right. I want to be picking up the reception here. And I want to say thank you to the Petty Library. It just goes to show you they're taking care of everybody in the town of Wilmington, Vermont. Okay, so I'm going to stop being funny. I noticed I was just doing that. I'm getting better at this where I don't have to entertain thing. And most of the time there's kids around, so I'm so used to doing that for my kids. Like, it's like my sister used to say in the movie The Room, you know, when things were so horrible and that girl was being kept in an underground like bunker with her son all those years. She would make up these games and she would just pretend she was happy all the time because to try and distract him from the situation. And that's kind of how she described it, and I feel like that's, I mean, I've seen the movie, it's a little bit like that, you know. And then there was a movie about that about the Holocaust. I don't remember the name of it. It was a beautiful story about a man and a little girl, I think. I can't remember, maybe it was a little boy, I can't think right now. But I'm in front of the Petty Library. I wanted to, you know, I'm probably going to delete my other one. I don't know, I got cut off and on one, and the other one was just pointless. And of course, I was like already yelling on the topic of bullying because it really makes me so angry that it's actually still where it is. And that, you know, the society is toting themselves as some sort of a advanced, everybody's, really bully aware, but it's not true at all. Nobody's doing anything about bullying that they need to do. It's still happening, okay? You're not moving kids out of schools when they're hurting other kids, on a level where it's extreme and prolonged or whatever, where it's happening in more incidences. We can't monitor them at home. We're not monitoring this. We can't, maybe there's some way of connecting a task force between the two, like cyberbullying by kids that are in school with you at home on the computer, because I know they'll say things like, oh, we don't handle that right now at the school because it's happening at your house. I've read that. Not at this school. I'm saying any schools across the country. Not enough is being done about bullying still. Not even close. The main thing we need to do is not and no longer put in the hands of people and hope they're going to be good, make the right choice. Okay? And make not the selfish choice, or make the choice that's not just to appease people or just to keep the peace or not to say anything or because somebody has more money or because somebody's donating a wing. You know what I'm saying? Or something else. God knows. There's a lot of reasons why, And it's not that you're a bad person for trying to give a child who's a bully, who has a history of bullying, a chance. It's just that those kids need to be moved away from the kids that don't have that problem. Because those kids don't then need to be scarred by it. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you get another chance. It's not going to go away once they, scar that person, metaphorically speaking. And it happens all the time. It happens to boys too. It happens to kids that are gay, kids that are not gay, that are being called gay. There's all kinds of bullying. It's like, it's totally out of control. And what I was saying in the other one is, instead of concentrating on guns, which I would not feel safe without, I'm sorry, I would not, on that one thing. I'm not saying that I feel like I don't have any fears about where I was going to put it and, safe this and that, in the house type of thing, and where if it was around the kids. I'm not saying I don't have those worries, but I would be more worried not to have it. You know what I'm saying if you're out there. And I do have a problem with the bad people getting guns, but I know they'll still get it only because you see what they do anyway. If a person, it doesn't even have to really be a bad person. Many times you see very good people doing bad things. It's just because they can, because maybe they had a bad day or whatever. Maybe they're having a tough time with money. It's just, when you look around and it doesn't really matter in society, whether you're popular or whether it doesn't make a difference. If you're rich, if you have a huge mansion and you live in Hollywood or you live in whatever, or you have a zillion toys or you have all the diamonds in the world, it doesn't make a difference. Who, and all of your friends, and you're social, and you do great at parties, and you're smiling, and you know how to say the right thing when that person loses someone, or when that person, loses a job or gets a promotion. And you're there for that person if that person's going through something. These are all people that you're meeting, and that's a great thing. But how do you treat the people that are less fortunate? How do you treat people who are even vulnerable in any way? Someone who's been through something. Someone that won't be defended. That's who you are. That's who you are. And you're doing it in front of your kids, okay? So your kids are learning. And it's the same with mine. I make all kinds of mistakes. But I'm definitely not a bully. That I'm not. Because I know I know and I see bullying. And I keep saying, I know it sounds crazy. And everybody's been, now that I know how people feel about me yesterday, based on the insults I was getting, and about my rambling and this, that, and the other thing, and then other things that were very ridiculous by someone that doesn't know me in that way enough to say that, who obviously doesn't realize that, people make income in different ways, clearly, not very familiar with the virtual marketplace. Or maybe he is, I don't know. But maybe he just, for whatever reason, has deduced a picture of who I am in his mind. And my brother was like that, very abusive that way. Meaning, extreme on that level, but with that same type of, way. If you want to give someone criticism, I think that's a great thing. I ask people all the time to tell me, because I want to get better. I don't want to ramble. I know I'm talking fast, but most of the time I do that because I'm trying to keep it shorter, because I know I go on. And my brother used to say that I should make, our Everybody Loves Sammy post shorter, but I wasn't doing these type of posts there. Now, somebody also said yesterday that I was rambling, and most of the ones I do. And he was saying something about emotional, this and that. And in many of them I do. Like I've said, this was a diary, a personal diary that ended up becoming something else. But, that got me to a safer place in the sense of those people I was leaving. But, and I want to make clear, I was also accused of looking for funding from this area or from these people that I love, like that Gloria, and the people that I love, not everybody. I in the beginning, I really wanted to idealize a lot of people. And in any place, you have bad and good. I'm not, a lot of people don't like me, or they do. There's always going to be that in life. But if you go out of your way to there's a certain tone that someone uses that is very apparent to everyone around that person. And that person knows they're using it. That, in a sense, is a form of what I'm talking about. And we do it as adults. And many times you see that happening where a lot of people are in on that. That bully doesn't, or that person that's throwing it down there is not the only one. It's usually a pack thing, where... and again, it comes back to when somebody new comes to town. We put onto that person who we think they are, or who we may, sometimes like, you see a bad person and you see good things in them at the beginning and you say, how did I do that? We put the things that are good about us into the people we want to like, and sometimes it's not the case. And we all have faults and strengths and weaknesses, but bullying is unacceptable. If you want to start something with bullying, don't do marches. Don't make decorative slogans. Get out there and deal with the bullying. Let's put some type of, connection between the bullying that's happening in school and cyberbullying. Even if it's not on the school premises. You don't have to be like, well, we don't give a shit if it's not on the school premises. Take it up with the police. This is happening all in these schools. We all have to be part of that solution. So it should be one system. It shouldn't be separate crimes. Maybe when bullying comes into play, it should all go to the police. That way these kids know that they're going to have a big problem should they even try it. Because it is attempted murder. You know why? Because kids are killing themselves every day. Every single day. 8-year-olds hanging themselves because of some disgusting, evil kid. I wasn't doing that. I didn't know any decent human beings that were being vicious to another child. And then prolonged? Are you serious? And we're allowing this? And we're saying, oh, well, maybe we'll bring in a program. A program? We're anti-bullying. You have that seal of approval on your school, wherever it is across the country. I've seen them like in, I don't know, other states, maybe Connecticut or something. I don't remember. because they were at so many and I was at so many myself. You know, it doesn't make a difference what kind of a seal you have. You're still not doing enough about bullying. You're not in the hallways. You're not on it. You're not making standing up to bullies cool enough. You're not making it enough part of the program. You know, I don't see a lot of bullying happening with kids that are working on farms and things like that. I don't. You know, you see it when kids are not really... I mean, even I wasn't working like that. You know, I wasn't working on a farm, but I see these kids and these families, and I really admire that. Like, and so my friend said to me the other day, you know, I think it was my friend William, who I love, and you know, he had said something about, you know, his friends living, you know, in a nice life and how nice it was that he was saying, oh, they're so lucky because they all like do the farming and the kids are all, and I was thinking how similar I think, because it's true. You know, it is a lucky thing. And where I was from, those type of things were kind of, you know, the way those people, not just those people, it's not a religion thing, and it's not that, I think it's maybe an affluence thing in some situations, or being in a town that you feel, you know, you don't, meaning where you don't have, where you've never thought even for 2 seconds about how much the rent is, or, you know, not the kids should worry about that, but they should be taught, you know, like when I talk about the scores and everything, I'm not saying it's nothing. I'm just saying that you got to count the other things, you know, those are all skills. Creative skills are incredible. I mean, look at all the best. They started in garages, right? Bill Gates, you know, Steve Jobs, you know, Mark Zuckerberg, Gary Vaynerchuk. I mean, these are all people that started from their garage. They didn't have this, that, and the other thing. You know, everybody, you know, he was unpopular. They were all unpopular too. Everybody hated them too. You know, people used to say the other guy smelled, and this one and that one, and everyone hated, you know, I'm quoting because I don't really know, Steve Jobs. You know, it's, you know, the bullying has to end. That's why there's all these shootings. You could say what you want, but it's not just the bullying in schools that's doing it. It's what they're seeing in society. There's nothing left inside of us. Nobody's following a code. Nobody has any honor. Everybody's just taking, you know, taking to take what we can get. You know, we're all just, I don't know what's happened to us. You know, I mean, that's why these things are happening. It's disgusting. It really is. And maybe the reason why it's happening in America is because America has it easier in a lot of ways than the other countries, third world countries. So you don't really see that there. So again, it comes down to not knowing, you know, or having empathy or being taught. You know, I mean, I don't know. Is empathy born? Is it not? But you can talk about it. You know, and not just talk about it. Don't just talk about it and smile for the camera. You know, be that. Live that. You see that in the rarest people. And it's freaking incredible. And it's so rare. Those are the people that are leaving a legacy. Not the people that are whispering and pointing and laughing and making people feel bad. Is that what you're proud of? Is that what we want our kids to see? You know, I mean, it's disgusting. And why are all these people killing each other? You know, it's based on the way everybody's been treated. They've been put down. They've been discriminated against. They've been this. They've been that. You know, they've been bombed in the other country. They've been told that it was this one's fault, that one's fault. You know, this is all disgusting. We need to end the bullying. And we can only do it with all of us. You know, let's talk about it. Let's get back in there. Don't think you have it covered, because you don't. It could be any of our kids any minute. I know for a fact, and I want to be honest, nobody's bullying my kids right now. I'm being honest. And, you know, I'm just going to put this disclaimer in there that many times I'm just, you know, I'm really an entertainer too. You know, I can't pretend that I was crying or anything like that. I'm a very real person. You know, what you see is what you get. And a lot of people mistake that for weakness. Therefore, they start beating up on me in one way or the other. But that's all right. What they will find out is that that's okay with me. I'm okay with that. The problem with bullies is they want to see you crying about it. They want to see you in a ball on the floor. They want to know that they've done you in, you know, so they can look around and take a bow in front of their friends, you know, because it's a popular thing to do, or you are the popular person to do that to. Who are we? You know, what do we stand for? Does anybody stand for anybody or anything anymore? I mean, and we're talking about we want to change bullying. It's really gross. You know, even in the school systems, not here, Everywhere. Every system, even the system that are supposed to be protecting kids, what are they about? Money. They're choosing money over kids. If they can get away with it, they're doing it all the time. And unfortunately, we have to be our own advocates. And believe me, with research, you find out that in more cases than not, there's something there that was unscrupulous. And you don't do anything about it, but you sit back and you say, wow, even there, in that sacred place. You know, I remember when I was at Christmas at church one time with George. I'm not saying I'm Mrs., Church, that I'm perfect, right? I'm the biggest, whatever. I don't know. I don't really know formal religion in that way. I was taught a lot of different things. But I know what goodness is. I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe in all the things that make up who people are. They're all parts of who we are. It doesn't matter what we call God. And we all have the same abilities. But we need to tune into those by getting rid of all that poison in us. The poison we're throwing out at everybody else every day. It really needs to end. It's disgusting. It's ugly and it's dark. We're not getting anywhere with this. This is very bad. It's going to get worse. And it is the law of attraction and energy. Not just when you do something good that it comes back to you. You don't have to believe that there's going to be a big wave and God's sending down a strike of lightning. It's getting worse. You don't know if it's going to be, God forbid, your kids. And you might look back on that one day and feel anguish based on the fact that you were faced with that choice at one time in your life. Kids are killing themselves. Bullying can be murder. We need to put these kids in jail when they do stuff like that. There was a girl in the news that just got off. I believe she got off, or maybe she did some time or something. That girl, oh no, she was 16 years old. I think she got off. She did. Because I remember screaming at the newspaper. And the reason, again, I talk fast is because I'm trying to squeeze it into a shorter period of time for you guys. But I am working on being more concise and trying to ramble less. But if somebody's giving you constructive criticism, like someone I know was, doing, and I assumed who I am was who that person is, and I watched that person from afar, and I saw a lot of love in that person, and how much love that person was giving to others. But when that person spoke to me in a public forum, it was very clear to me, but not just because it was clear to me, but also because, as many of you know, and some of you have had that experience with me, that, I'm intuitive. I'm an intuitive, or some people say I'm a psychic or a medium, and I don't agree that that's what I call it. That's not what I would classify it as. But when it comes to me, I've always been accurate. You can feel when somebody's doing that because there's something in them that's you're triggering. I don't know why maybe they see, that vulnerability as weakness in themselves, or maybe they're angry at themselves for being soft in their heart, or maybe not. I don't know what it is, and I don't want to do psychobabble. All I know is it's a form of hurting somebody else in a way. You don't have to do it in a public forum, where everybody else. How can that be a positive thing for someone? Think about it. The only reason why I'm bringing it up is because I think about that's what children do to each other, and I think it's important for children even to not just scream and fight like my father used to teach me to do with bullies, beat the bully down. My father used to tell me that. And I've done that a lot. I really have. And I've even gone a little bit over the top when somebody was bullying my sister in New York City. My brother and I went to see that girl. But it was a different time in the world then. And people got concerned because it was really me. Who said this to that girl. And my brother joined in, but, I confronted that girl. But I didn't start screaming at that girl, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I said to her, I said the things I'm talking about now. I said, what you're doing to my sister is unacceptable. And it's not something that's going to happen again. Okay? I want you to know that I know. Because I've dealt with bullies myself, and I understand them. And I said, you hate yourself. There's something in my sister that triggers that, and it makes you feel good. I used to say to my mother, because I used to see my mother say very cruel things to someone, which was totally over a boundary, and many times to people that she hardly knew. just to get a reaction or like once certain things were shared, and they had these insane reactions to her somehow, and it was a lot of people that had that reaction, because it was over a certain boundary and wasn't really her right to say that, and I don't want to do that either. I'm not looking to hurt people, but when she used to do that, I started to see she would get this facial expression, and she would start sort of like breathing fast, and she got like almost like a half smile on her face where she would be biting her lower lip, and it reminded me of somebody who was having sex. It looked like somebody who was like sexually aroused, to be honest with you. And I said to her, this may have become, and I wasn't being mean, I was being like my psychology person, because I studied psychology. I was a psychology major. But I did extensive research and everything like that on my own, just because I wanted to understand my own craziness, plus everybody else's in the world and my family's, and cure myself of all these thoughts in my head. But I was learning and I was trying to understand. We need to stop hurting other people to make ourselves feel good. If we really do want to help someone, we would do it in a different way. We would feel through empathy what type of person that person was, even if it was annoying or we thought it was crazy or whatever. We would know that that person is presenting themselves, even if it's a protective thing, we would have to approach in that way. And most of the times, I don't think there's going to be one person that finds it acceptable for you to go on a business page, which is what I consider that. Because I was just writing to Danny DeVito today about contacting me on Facebook. And that's what somebody's writing on a business section. It's something I've done business-wise that he could see or somebody else could see. Based on what reason? Because nobody in the neighborhood likes me? I mean, this is what I have to be worried about while I'm trying to build a career that I don't know where it's going to be. But, you don't need to get in there and throw those things at me when I'm, gaining momentum. What for? What for? If you really felt concerned, anybody, like the people who called, called this one and that one to come check on me, and like my friend in New York that I always loved, that I knew from growing up, my friend Jody. I have no idea what happened. I got so upset the other day. My brother sent me a message, and she was saying terrible things about me to people that I had told her at that time I was afraid of, that were hurting me. I have no idea why she did that. I was literally crying for 2 days, about this or whatever it was. I can't even believe that. I was like so shocked. There's not been a time that's, and that really surprised me because I feel very connected to Jody. And I found out that, during the time that she was helping me get a ride back from my class reunion and saying she was helping me, I don't know, maybe she thought something else. I never asked anybody for anything, ever. But the minute I put that on there, because I didn't know how to contact her because I felt so bad by the way she was talking to me last time, I felt bullied on that phone call. So I just blocked her. And I guess she was mad at me. But I wasn't blocking her like that. I was blocking her because I didn't want to see those hurtful things. Who wants to read that about themselves? Who wants to be told something in that way? If you can go to a teacher that talks to you like you're a garbage can or in front of everybody else, or privately trains you in more of a productive way but gives you criticism in a healthy way, who would you choose? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like, what are we looking at the kids for? And the guns. Look at us. Even the best people are doing it now. People at the churches. I had a great conversation with an incredible pastor in East Dover. And now, I think his name was Rick. I don't want to say the last name wrong. Warren. Incredible. I sat with him, and anybody that was a man of God, I would have loved to have talked to and asked questions about different things. I don't know. I just like to learn stuff in this life. I want to know more so I can understand, so I can pass it on, so I can, I don't know why. But it's something I'm working on to be more brave and to be true to myself. I don't want to say be more brave. To admit and to show how brave I am. Because people have a very bad reaction to that, as you can see. I was never that brave. I never spoke about anything I did in the past. Ask my friends. Even when I came here. When people see me in person, I don't talk about that stuff. Because it's nothing. It's the dumbest shit ever. But the minute you talk about that, for some reason, in show business and everything else, when I was growing up with singing, which is where my main bully had come in, I loved singing. But, I was a very lonely child. I was a very unhappy child. Singing was really the only thing that gave me comfort. And, there was a bully in school. There was a couple. And she usually was with one other girl. Because the way I see it is, they were bullies. And it was kind of but on a normal level of bullying until music got involved. There's something about singing that does very poisonous things to people. And not just singing. It's not singing. And I started to think about, what is it about singing with bullying and everything else, or performing, or when you're great at something, or when you're a great skier, or when you're receiving recognition or rewards, or even that somebody just is watching your talent. If it's a person who's okay with themselves, they'll never do that. But if it's a person who and when I say hates themselves, that sounds too simple and it's too broad. It would take me too long to explain. So you get my point, though. Let's take ourselves into check. I don't know what to do anymore. I can't even explain what I'm seeing other than disgust. Even at my worst points, I keep seeing, and it's every single day. It's like one thing after the other. I don't know what's happening here. Are we just completely gone? And they say a lot of things. And Pastor Warren, he was incredible. Why was he incredible? I was expecting to have a regular conversation with him, and I've met a lot of beautiful pastors and priests and everything else, and rabbis, and some people were very judgmental and mean. Just because somebody is doesn't mean they're, it's like everything, like I always say. Good and bad, that's just a human condition, as Barry taught me. Barry thought most people were evil, and I always believed in something more. Maybe because, I don't know. But I think that's gone now. It's, there's people that a lot of times try to hurt me by saying, oh, she's yelling this, that, and the other thing on her blog, or she's crying, or say, oh, she's depressed, oh, she's going to do this, she's going to throw herself off a mountain, she's going to, go off herself somewhere. She sounds incredibly depressed. I'm so concerned. But it's really more to strike up a conversation with everybody else about those things. In Great Neck, that it was like that, and in other places. And it really was not concerned at all. It was just the next topic to gossip about. There was a girl that passed away, and everybody bullied that girl too. And she was a very insecure girl. The problem was, she then went on to do a little bit of that bullying herself. She kind of had that meanness in her, in a way. And my bullies were terrible. And they were very, it got worse based on, their competitive nature with show business. And, I think the problem was with a lot of those girls, even the girls in the show Annie, and, I don't know how, I'm not saying it was their fault or anything. A lot of these girls that were in those companies were the same way to me. And the only person they were not that way to was like Bridget, who played Annie. And in school, they really did that to everyone. A lot of the people I see that were bullied very viciously, like to the point where, if you put it on paper and defined it, you would say, well, that bully could never recover, and that person should never even look at that person. Again, right? But you see them connected again. There's something unsolved there. There's something there that can't go, that's so deep. There's something there. And, that was, it became almost psychotic. It wasn't like a regular bullying thing. It took on another level because the girl that was the main bully, and I love her now. She's a great girl, and she's, very smart girl, beautiful, and all that stuff. But when we're kids, we can sometimes do things based on stuff we're going through. and our parents are getting divorced or this, that, or the other thing. And we have a lot of feelings about that. If our fathers are busy and don't pay attention to us. I had that. My father didn't even know who I was until I was like 8. Really. And she had that in a way, but in a different way. But I never hurt anybody, ever. Not in that way, for sure, but not like that. I think right before that, maybe in maybe when it was like appropriate, when somebody had done something mean to me, maybe I retaliated in a bullying type team, which was wrong too, and I felt badly about. But there was things that were happening in that school that were not okay at all. And one of the people who did something outside the box, a teacher who did the right thing when she didn't, that when, she was looking out for me. You could tell that she really loved her students at that moment, was Mrs. Schweiger. And when I was being bullied. But there were a lot of things. Like, I spent a lot of money on, my grandmother spent a lot of money on, going to a special studio in New York, which was very famous at the time, called Charlie Lowe Studios. It was a dance studio. And my grandmother used to train Gregory Hines in tap dancing and Bernadette Peters. And Bernadette Peters had like a very low voice, and she trained her how to have like a high voice, she used to tell me. But there wasn't a lot of thank yous for my grandmother from those people, but I didn't want to be the same way. My grandmother was incredible. But she taught me how to deal with the bullies in that way, because they were always doing that to kids in that business. It was a very cutthroat business. So that's really what it was based on, was a competitive thing. So they would trip each other and stuff like that. I still didn't do that. Even if there was someone who was better than me or she was going to get the part, it's not that I was happy about it. But I wouldn't trip someone because I'd feel like God is watching. I do believe that though. But that's not the point. It's not like people who did that can't get past it. But this went so out of control that it was, she was a very, very smart girl. So when she was acting that out, she was evil. She was very evil. Not at the core. She was evil in her behavior. Because of the, I don't want to say the passion of the rage that she felt, but the level of the rage that she felt, that was her, that was her reaction to, I guess, what was going on in that house, the pain she felt and the abandonment and the emptiness of that house. And wanting him to see how special she was, and she was. She was. I had the same problem in my house. She just didn't realize that. Because by the time, I guess we really were on that level to think, my father and I were very close, but he was also dying. But I guess for a child that feels like they want a little bit more with their father and he can't express that type of love or something, or you're hungry for that, the way that I was too, in a lot of ways. And then lost him when I had him for 5 minutes. That was okay. Is a very painful thing. And we react in many ways. I have a lot of anger now, even. We learn to self-soothe by acting out, by finding something to, just give us some sort of relief, almost like a drug addict when we have that type of poison in us, anger. But we're taking it out on everybody, every single day. It's horrible. It's terrible. Every single thing. I see the nicest people who are nice to everyone, and then they're not nice to that person that they think nobody will see. Not me. I'm saying I see it around, I see things done to people that don't deserve it. And there's bullies in the system too, like I say about CPS, but not just CPS, anything. The courthouses, 11 Woolies Lane, they had crooked lawyers, and the people in there that were working for, because they were, how could you not be crooked if you're fighting against the innocent and hurting them? Not just fighting against them and giving someone a chance. Doing unscrupulous things, sneaking into apartments and taking pictures of children half clothed. That's on another level of they didn't do it, the lawyers, but they were working for people like that. I really think that even if you're going to lose your job, you probably shouldn't, I wouldn't be the one, no matter what. Even if I had to eat nothing but ramen noodles or whatever they say. for the next year. Defend a pedophile or somebody who raped somebody. So let's stop the bullying. Let's look at ourselves. That's how we need to look, okay? None of us are doing a good job. Not even myself, because I'm not reacting well to this type of behavior either. But I'm definitely not going to crumble. And I know that's what those people want to see. That's what bullies do, over there. So seeing the bullying in my mailbox from a girl that I knew in 4th grade, that I just saw at my reunion, who I absolutely loved. I was so happy to see her. I even told her to come up here and live with me. I would never ask her for money. I mean, she's talking about what you know what I mean. So with the thing with what that guy suggested from the high school class, and I didn't even do that. I mean, it's just so wrong to be like that, to make it when somebody is in a position like me, because that means that you're trying to utilize a disability or maybe a situation that's really very wrong. And mentioning my kids is, I really can't put words on that. Let's just say that's something else. Now, you have a lot of people that love you, and I still do. And I'm sure a lot of kids and cousins and stuff like that, but you don't mess with a mother's kids. I mean, you don't bring kids into it ever. That's what the people did at the building. They do that in all kinds of different systems. Even the systems that are in charge of kids. Let's stop making choices about money. Let's stop bullying. To get something. To grab something. It's so disgusting what we're doing here. No wonder. And if there was a situation where Jesus was coming back to take us out of here because we just have no hope, I would say it's probably soon. I mean, how could it get worse than this? I'd be afraid to see. I'm afraid. I don't think we should be calling each other different names and classifying each other anymore. I think we're all terrified because of how bottomless it is. And everybody is running scared and, being extra protective and extra paranoid. I don't know how to fix this now. The only thing we can do is start trying to be a part of the change one at a time. And let's show our kids. Stay on top of the hallways. The hallways. Let these kids know that's what you're doing. And make it a crime. That girl that I never finished that story, I'll at least try to do that in the same podcast, was not sent to jail. She was manipulating her boyfriend. You ready for this? Can you imagine your son? I don't care who this girl is and how old she is and how much her parents cry. I could give two shits. She told someone to kill himself. And he was talking him, he was getting out of it, and she talked him back into it, and he killed himself? And she's out? I don't think so. That's murder. Postcard from the bottom. That's what I'm talking about tonight, bullying. It's very, very important. Let's all stop it. If we don't, we're going to end up getting hurt in our own families and everything else. That's what happens. Look what's happening in the schools and the shootings and everything else. It's starting to hit ourselves, even if you only think about yourself.